Good evening, and we begin here tonight with what some are calling a house of horrors discovered in a California suburb where a 17-year-old girl left through a window at her parents' home and called 911. When police arrived, they say they found 12 more children, ages 2 to 29, some chained to the furniture, severely malnourished, and living in squalor. What we're learning about their parents tonight, here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
A quiet suburb in California.
You never know that could be happening in your neighborhood.
You think it's supposed to be safe for your own children and your own families.
Crazy, you never know who your neighbors are.
A community rocked to its core.
The chilling discovery inside a family home in Southern California.
13 siblings living in deplorable conditions.
Tortured by their own parents.
After that alleged house of horrors was uncovered, 13 siblings reported to be living in dungeon-like conditions. Police say they were severely malnourished, living in squalor, some shackled to furniture. Their parents, Louise and David Turpin, led out of that house by police in handcuffs. The startling discovery happened Sunday morning when authorities say one of the children, a 17-year-old girl, escaped through a window and called 911 using a deactivated cell phone.
Deputies responded, met with that 17-year-old nearby.
Police units swarmed, and inside, police say they discovered the remaining children, ages 2 to 29.
The children were malnourished. It was very dirty, and the conditions were horrific. 7
of those children they discovered were actually adults, ranging in age from 18 to 29. But they looked so much younger, investigators say, because they were so emaciated.
If you can imagine being 17 years old and appearing to be a 10-year-old, being chained to a bed, malnourished, and injuries associated with that, I would call that torture.
A neighbor who did not want to be identified described seeing them come out.
They were very, very pale skinned, almost like they've never seen the sun.
In an exclusive interview, the doctor who has been treating the adults says they have likely been enduring this for years.
And when we first saw them, everybody thought they were children.
Even the 29-year-old.
The 29-year-old specifically, she has a body habitus of the underdeveloped 15 years old.
29-year-old has the body of an underdeveloped 15-year-old.
Yes.
Authorities say they never received any calls about the welfare of the Turpin children and that the family has lived in this town since 2014. The children were homeschooled. David Turpin, a former engineer, was the principal of the Sandcastle Day School, registered at the same address, the entire school body, his children. The California Department of Education saying in a statement, "We are sickened by this tragedy and are relieved the children are now safe and authorities are investigating." Under current California law, the CDE does not approve, monitor, inspect, or oversee private schools. This community here in Perris, California is known as the crown jewel of this little town. It's the kind of place where kids play out on the street unchaperoned, where people keep their lawns tidy and manicured, and where neighbors talk to neighbors. But what's so shocking is that behind closed doors in one of these homes, this horror was unfolding, and neighbors say they had no idea what was happening. Some neighbors told us they never even knew children lived at the house. Others only caught a glimpse of them at night. So do you recognize any of the people in these pictures?
No.
Did you know that there were kids living in that house?
Not at all. Not at all.
Nothing?
No.
You said one night you saw something a little bit strange on the street.
Yes.
What was that?
We went out for a night walk with the dogs. We was coming up to the yard, and we noticed that it was 9 o'clock at night, and noticed 4 children on their knees rolling out sod.
David Turpin's parents telling ABC News they had no knowledge of the allegations that had been made, and that David said he had so many children because God called on them to. And these photos show a seemingly happy family. There were vacations, trips to Disneyland. The couple has been married for over 30 years.
I take the Louise.
I take the Louise.
They recently renewed their vows in Las Vegas, the Elvis Chapel posting their ceremony. Their children, boys and girls, arrayed in identical outfits and haircuts.
They sang with me. They had fun. They seem to be happy, all of them.
Kent Ripley has said he has officiated Turpin's vow renewals 3 times over the years.
I mean, well-behaved children, They didn't seem like they were, abused or out of line. But David and Louise seemed like they cared. David broke down and seemed like little tears here and there. But other than being a big family, normal family.
Husband and wife.
He says he never saw this coming.
It's very eerie and sickening. It makes you angry because no one should treat anyone like that. Nobody.
Yeah, it's truly horrific.
And especially children. I mean, 13 children.
Over the past few years, similar shocking stories of forced captivity and abuse have disturbed the nation. Between 2002 and 2004, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Georgina Gina De Jesus all individually were kidnapped by Ariel Castro. The three women chained for weeks at a time and imprisoned in his home until May 2013. Amanda Berry eventually escaping with her 6-year-old daughter and contacting police. Castro pleaded guilty to 937 counts of kidnapping, rape, and other crimes. He later committed suicide in prison. Another case with apparent strong parallels took place in 2003 in Collingswood, New Jersey. Raymond and Vanessa Jackson were arrested after a neighbor found their adoptive son, Bruce Jackson, rummaging through garbage cans for food.
You yelled at us, you cussed at us, hit us with brooms, rulers, sticks.
The severely malnourished 19-year-old weighed just 45 pounds, 4 feet tall. Bruce Jackson gained 95 pounds over 2 years after being removed from the home, seen here testifying against his adoptive mother, Vanessa, who eventually pleaded guilty. She was sentenced to 7 years in prison. The 13 Turpin siblings will continue to undergo tests to assess the level of damage caused to their systems.
I've been doing this my whole career. I've never seen this.
I imagine the doctors would look for physical and sexual abuse. They would look for medical neglect, but I think they're going to look for information to find out what kind of torture. Was it primarily physical? Was it both physical and emotional?
Tonight, David and Louise Turpin sit in jail under arrest for multiple counts of alleged torture and child endangerment. They are each held on a $9 million bail.
Hopefully, as many of the children that could be kept together will be kept together, because that could be very helpful to dismiss that sense of isolation and abandonment.
For now, the children of David and Louise Turpin will be housed in the same unit together while investigators try to figure out exactly what happened inside that house. For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Paris, California.